As soon as we get all the sponsors in, then we'll Cricket Nerds tour to India and do all those things. Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. As you can see, it's just myself and Benji. How are you, Benj?
Tired. Stood in a field for 80 overs today. Because I pretty much umpired for the rest of the innings after I got out. And then stood around fielding. Tired because played cricket. But I had fun. I enjoyed it today.
Yes.
How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm glad that cricket season started. I also had my first game today. So yeah, it's a lot of fun being back outside playing cricket. So today we had two games. We had the Rajasthan Royals versus the Mumbai Indians, and we had the Royal Challengers Bangalore versus the Gujarat Titans. Now today was the results of both games don't really change the table much because Mumbai can't get through anyway. I think there's like a 0.0003% chance of them actually qualifying. And Gujarat Titans are just extending their lead at the top of the table. But let's start with that game because that game came first chronologically. So we have Royal Challengers versus Gujarat Titans, and Royal Challengers won the toss and elected to bat. Shock horror. That's a bit of a different thing. But it was all right because Virat Kohli came back to form. 58 off 53 showed the doubters that he could bat, and he played some really lovely shots. You could see in that first over he was determined, and he played a lovely couple of shots to start off his innings. Rajat Patidar, very good young batsman, looks really nice, and Glenn Maxwell and Lomraw kind of supported with some quick scoring. The only issue is that Virat Kohli didn't score quick enough. So it's great that he's back to form, but we need for these next 4 games that we need to win 3 games out of these 4 to pretty much certify us going through. We need him scoring those 50s off 30 balls like Patidar did, because otherwise we are going to end up short in the runs, and we were today. We're probably 15, 20 runs too short. Because Gujarat bowled well, they did, but we could have definitely batted better. Benj, what's your take on Gujarat's performance?
I think Gujarat actually performed really well. I thought they had some good bowling. I thought Mohammad Shami bowled really well. Actually, he ended up getting the wicket of Kohli as well. But shout out to Pradeep Sagwan because he bowled fantastically. Look, he was like very economical, and he got those 2 wickets to Faf du Plessis and Patidar. I mean, du Plessis was probably the letdown of the RCB side. He's not managed to. He needs to play nicely to get to his 20, and if he gets to his 20, he'll score a big score. But if Faf doesn't get to his 20, then he's going to generally go cheaply. Yeah. But then Gujarat just chased, and it was once again the David Miller Rahul Tewatia show, like chasing down ridiculous amounts at the end. If we look at the rest of the Gujarat batting too, everyone chipped in apart from the Hardik. So it was a good day for everyone apart from the captains of both teams. And then David Miller and Rahul Tewatia are becoming a frightening partnership at like closing out games. I actually quite enjoyed seeing Sai Siddharthan back in the side. I think he batted nicely today. Looked okay, and I think he's a decent player. But there was also some sort of mixed bowling from RCB as well.
We'd pulled it back a bit because we did pull it back because at the start it was a bit shaky because they had a 50-run opening partnership. They looked settled. They looked like it was going to be comfortable. And then Shahbaz Ahmed and Wanindu Hasaranga bowled very well during those middle overs. They didn't go for many runs. They took regular wickets at regular intervals, and then I think they needed about 12 and over off the last 3, just over 12 and over off the last 3. And so when you've got Hazelwood and Harshal Patel to bowl those 3 overs, you think you were actually in a chance. in with a chance. But with the form that Rahul Tewatia and David Miller are in, any balls that are marginally off the correct line and length are going to go. And I think that's what we saw. Rahul Tewatia would pounce on anything. He's in sublime form. He knows how to finish games. He's doing it. This must be his third time with the bat that he's won the game. So, yeah, it's obviously from an RCB point of view, it's sad to see this happening. But I think you kind of have to admire what Gujarat Titans have managed to pull together in these since the start of the tournament. Really, they've only lost one game.
I just think they've looked so good. Like, they've looked really tidy. I mean, Tewatia, just on him, I think he's the most consistently inconsistent player in the IPL. Like, the guy either wins you the game or does absolute trash. Yeah. That's the only two versions that you get from Tewatia.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that was okay. I think, Josh Hazlewood got smashed around, as you said, a little bit, and that was, again, the Tewatia show. But yeah, really good from Shabazz and Hasaranga, and Harsh Patel too. He didn't get any of his wickets, but he bowled tight, I think.
Yeah. Heroes and villains. My hero is actually going to be Pradeep Sangwan. He first played in the IPL as a 17-year-old. And yeah, for the Delhi Daredevils, and he came back in this game and took 2 for 19. He looked really good, very tight, and yeah, goodbye from Gujarat. Another goodbye from Gujarat. My villain is gonna go to Faf du Plessis. The captain needs to play more innings. I think you look at Royal Challengers in the past. We've had AB de Villiers, and he was consistently good at scoring quickly through those middle overs. And yes, we've got Glenn Maxwell. Yes, Dinesh Kartik's done it toward the start of the tournament, but we need that Faf du Plessis at the start of innings being consistent. We need that consistency from our top order. And yeah, it's sad that he was unable to fire. What about you? Heroes and villains?
My hero is David Miller and Rahul Tewatia for another great show of how to win a game and how to knock off runs at the end. And my villain is Josh Hazlewood. Because I just think if he'd have been a bit tighter in that second to last over, then it would have put RCB in a far better state to win that game, and they may have, brought it a little bit closer. I do also want to say I was quite pleased with seeing Dinesh Kartik back in at number 5. I thought we haven't seen that for a while, and he's pushed back up the order. It was a suggestion that we had the other day on the last RCB game.
Although he didn't do very well, did he?
No, I mean, he got outfoxed by Rishi.
At least they're listening to us. They're watching the podcast as you
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Should we move on to Rajasthan versus Mumbai?
Of course.
So Rajasthan versus Mumbai. Mumbai won the toss and fielded first, and Mumbai have managed to scrape up their first win of the season, as you mentioned, Zach. Joss Buttler, again in the runs, 67 or 52. A bit slower than we've seen him previously in this IPL. I mean, I don't think he's going to beat that Kohli record, is he, of 19, of 900 runs. He's got to do as well as he's already done again. But most of his runs have been, in knocks of 100. So he needs to consistently hit these 60s to 80s to rival Kohli's. DDP and Sanju Samson and Darryl Mitchell, all three of them made starts, didn't really do anything. Rip Parag wasn't able to carry on his form from the last game. And then Ashwin had another cameo and smashed around 21 off 9, which was a much needed runs actually for the Royals. But I think overall, they're a bit light, and I think Bumrah bowled really well. Kumar Katikaya, I think that's how you say it, bowled really well. 4 for 19, 1 wicket. 4 overs, sorry. Yeah. 1 for 19 off 4 overs. And Rylan Meredith looked okay. Shokeen looks pretty awful with his bowling. But I think Mumbai bowled quite well and they actually put themselves in the driving seat to win the game.
It's the first time we've seen the death bowling of Mumbai actually happen. Jasprit Bumrah obviously has been nullified. It's kind of like when Bumrah's bowling, we just play him out, and that's how we deal with the Mumbai bowling lineup. But Riley Meredith looked really impressive, as did Daniel Sams, and that was enough to restrict them. You look at someone like Shimron Hetmeyer, who is in the Rajasthan team to finish an innings to give you that 15 and over off the last 3 overs to put up a competitive score. And he only hit 6 of 14, which is a test match innings. He batted slower than I did today, and I batted very slow. So it was Ravi Ashwin actually who was putting the impetus. But yeah, there we go. 158 for 6. It's not enough. And Mumbai managed to make it look difficult because they lost wickets at regular intervals. Good partnership actually between Suryakumar Yadav and Tilak Varma. They've been performing well. And another failure for Rohit Sharma. What's he going to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Rohit is, again, not looking fantastic. Decent ball from Ashwin to get rid of him, actually. Ishan Kishan scored again, though. He, again, made a start, looking a bit better than he has done. Although each one of those runs are still looking extremely expensive for the price tag that was paid for him. But Suryakumar Yadav is just looking in sublime form, isn't he? Like, he can't do a thing wrong, can he, for this Mumbai side?
Yeah.
He's just looking incredible. And as you say, it was a really nice partnership with Tilak Varma that actually put them in the game and gave them a good chance of winning it. Well, I'm actually going to go for Tim David.
Okay.
Bit of a rank one, but he played a hand in hitting the winning runs. I know Daniel Sams hit the winning runs, but I think Tim David put in a vital knock at the end, that 20 off 9, getting a little bit back into form after he was dropped by Mumbai. Coming back, I'm still waiting to see Mumbai actually bowl Tim David because I think he's quite good. I think he bowled okay in the Pakistan Super League for Multan Sultans. Oh no, he played Multan Sultans. I think he bowled quite well for them. So I think they need to give him a go at that as well. And my villain is Rohit. I think Rohit needs to book his ideas up and start leading from the front because he's again not really performing.
Yeah, I think my villain. I'll start with my villain is Sanju Samson because he is he frustrates me so much. The man has a beautiful technique. He can hit the ball a long way. You feel like his game is perfect for international cricket. And yet every game he looks really good and then gets out. And it's really annoying. And that's why he's my villain today because he's done it again. He's looked really good and then got himself out. And every year, Sanju Samson will score a very good 100 off not many balls or a very good score off not many balls. Not consistent enough. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that one season Sanju Samson just lights up the tournament because he's good enough to play for India and he's not performing. But hero, I would say, would go to Kartikeya. I don't really know how to pronounce his name, but he bowled really well. And when you think about the Mumbai team, yes, they've had some failures this season, but they've got some good young players for the future. And we saw it with Chennai. You'll remember, Benj, 2020, Chennai team did awful. And then toward the end of the tournament, they brought in their younger players who looked really good, like Gaikwad. The next year, Chennai go and win the tournament. And we may see a similar thing with Mumbai. Because when you look at that team, Ishan Kishan, Suryakumar Yadav, Tilak Varma, you're like, wow, those are really good young Indian batsmen. And then you've got the spinners in there. They just need to get the overseas options right. And yeah, they're looking a good team. But like we said, Gujarat Titans did not look like a good team, and yet they are top of the table and smashing everyone to pieces. So there we go. Tomorrow, we need to predict tomorrow.
Yes.
Another double header.
2 games.
Another chance for the table to not really change at all, other than maybe muddle up the middle order, the middle of the table, because we've got DC versus Lucknow Super Giants, who I want to win is different to who I think will win. I want Lucknow Super Giants to win, but because it helps Royal Challengers Bangalore. But I think Delhi Capitals coming off a win might do well against them. And then the next one is Sunrisers versus Chennai. And my money's on Chennai. Because,
really?
Well, I'll tell you what. You predict what you think is going to happen in the first game, and then I'll say why I think Chennai have this one.
I think, look now, are going to edge it against Delhi. I think Delhi haven't looked good enough at the start of their innings. They've looked a bit shaky. So I think look now are on a good run of form, and I think look now we'll have that one. Chennai versus Sunrisers. Again, it's going to come down to the toss, isn't it? Like, Sunrisers have proved that they're actually a very good side this season. So I'm very nervous to see what Chennai can do tomorrow, especially with, and I think this might be your point, the change to the Chennai captaincy. Yes. So if you haven't seen, Jadeja has stepped down as captain and wants to focus on his playing, and MS Dhoni has taken the reins again. I'm not sure what that's going to mean for the Chennai team.
I think what it will mean is better tactical decisions. Jadeja will be free of the burden of captaincy, and I don't know. I think it's going to bring something different because Jadeja doesn't strike me as captain when you've got, because he's an ultimate all-rounder, isn't he? He's a dynamic fielder. He bowls consistently and economically, and he can strike the ball a long way. So for a 2020 match, when you're doing all those things, he's best to be sent as a captain and to be told, this is what you're doing, this is your role, rather than having to worry about that himself. And I think having Dhoni back as captain is definitely the right decision. And I think the main consensus at the moment is that the reason Jadeja is stepping down from captaincy is because he's just not enjoying it. And like you said, he wants to focus on playing. So yeah, I think that little change could be the difference for Chennai tomorrow.
There we go. Let's see.
There we go. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've all enjoyed. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe and comment. We've got some really good discussions going in the chat, and that's good to see. Comment of the day. Yash Dawer says, a thumbnail of Benji wearing LSG kit in front of my college building. Never thought that would happen. Well, cricket nerds, we've been all over the place, you see. So there we go. Yes.
Yeah, you know what? Get me in an LSG kit. I'll hit some 7-ball ducks. But yeah, fancy team, get that done, get that updated. Zach, have you got a fancy pick?
Well, seeing as I'm doing so well on the fancy, I'm really not. My fantasy person to pick this week is going to be Rahul Tewatia. Just get him in your team. Or David. Right. David Miller's very underrated. He's just a very good player. So get them in. You know they're going to score you runs. So do it.
Rahul Tewatia. That's my shout as well. And I'm actually going to include Dhoni for Dinesh Kartik because I'm feeling brave.
Ooh, big choice.
Yeah, I'm feeling brave, so I'm going to make that change. But yeah, do your fancy team, get that updated, join it if you haven't, there's still time. If you've been playing all the way through and you've not joined the league, still join now. We're waffling now. Let's just finish the podcast.
Goodbye.